there's been a lot of legendary creatures in Magic's history, but which ones feel a little bit more Halloween themed? Let's go through my top 10 list and find out. What is up, boils and ghouls? My name is Matt and you're watching Top Commander. So, with Halloween coming up this Saturday, I wanted to get this video out and try to do it as quickly as possible because of my release schedule, only doing 2 days a week. I should have had this come out Monday just to give people a little bit more time, but unfortunately, things didn't pan out the way I wanted it to, and I do apologize. But before we get into everything, if you wish to support this channel, be sure to like, share, and subscribe as always. And if you wish to support this channel directly, be sure to visit patreon.com/topcommander. But with that out of the way, what is going to happen in this episode? Today I wanted to go through my top 10 picks for commanders that are just really well suited for a Halloween themed game of Commander. That's basically all this is. They're not really in any particular order, except for the number 10 and the number 1 slot. Everything in between is just take it for a grain of salt. None of them's really in any order other than the number 10 and the number 1 slot. But with everything going on with the pandemic, I know that depending on where you live, there's a lot of places that are not doing trick-or-treating. You know, a lot of people are not traveling. A lot of stuff's being held back because of the pandemic that's still going on. Before we get started, just a quick reminder, just whatever you are doing this weekend for Halloween, just be safe, and hope you have fun and try to enjoy it for what it is. Granted, this year has been difficult because of everything with the COVID situation and all that. But let's go ahead and start off with number 10. I got the Reaper King. Now, his mana cost is really, really weird to explain. He's Wooburg, except each color pip is a /2 generic. So, basically just the way the hybrid rule works, except if you don't spend a color for it, you have to spend 2 colorless or 2 generic for that. One way he costs 5 total if you got Wooburg on the field, or if you have none of the colors on the field for whatever reason, then he's 10 mana. So his cast cost is one of the weirder ones in my opinion, but look at this art. This art is kind of disturbing looking. I mean, it's like a weird scarecrow man tree morph thing. Like it's creepy all the way around. He's a 6/6 legendary artifact creature, Scarecrow, and he says that other Scarecrow creatures you control get +1/+1. And whenever another Scarecrow comes into play under your control, destroy target permanent. So, I know a few people that have tried building this deck, and the hard part is there's not a whole lot of Scarecrows available in Magic. And you have to cast them. So, you're in 5 colors. What you're basically doing is picking all the best changelings and just running with it. This is more of the reason it's at my number 10, it was almost going to be an honorary mention, because building this deck, I haven't seen a successful build out of this deck. Let's just put it that way. But it's a Scarecrow. It works. It's very much on theme with Halloween. So that's kind of where I went with it. And that's kind of where I'm going to leave it. Next up, Sisters of Stone Death. This one is, again, the artwork. I mean, it's Medusa, snakes, looks pretty creepy. 4 generic, 2 black, and 2 green, so 8 mana total. She is very costly. For a 7/5 legendary creature, Gorgon has pay 1 green. Target creature blocks Sisters of Stone Death this turn if able. A black and a green, exile target creature blocking or blocked by Sisters of Stone Death. And then 2 and a black, Put a creature card exiled with Sisters of Stone Death onto the battlefield under your control. So, how is this holiday themed? Well, she's taking all your creatures off your field. She's forcing them to block, forcing you to do things that you probably don't want to, getting rid of your creatures, blocking your creatures, and turning around and bringing them back on their side of the field. Effectively making your creatures, your strategy, theirs. So, if your opponent's stealing your stuff, I mean, that's kind of scary because you don't know what they're going to do with it. You don't know if that's going to give them the win. You know, there's a lot of factors beyond that. So, yeah, she was definitely on my list for sure. Next up, Krinko Mob Boss. A lot of people are familiar with this one. Why is it Halloween themed? What's more scarier than a horde of goblins? I mean, come on. Goblins are part of Halloween, pretty much. 2 mana, 2 generic and 2 red for a 3/3 legendary creature, Goblin Warrior. Tap, put X 1/1 goblins creature tokens onto the battlefield where X is the number of goblins you control. Constantly swarming the field with goblins, that's kind of scary, especially how fast this deck typically does things. It can overwhelm you in a heartbeat. Like, that's just how fast this deck goes. So, yeah, definitely had to be on the list. There was no getting around that one. And it's goblins. Come on. Just because it's not a black legendary creature and it's in the red, doesn't mean it can't be Halloween themed. Alright, next up we have Tiny Bones, Trinket Thief. 1 and a black for a 1/2 legendary creature, Skeleton Rogue. He looks like he's on Halloween. I mean, there's a lot of things on theme with this. It also looks like something out of a Tim Burton movie. Let's be real. I mean, this guy just screams Halloween to me. At the beginning of each end step, if an opponent discarded a card this turn, you draw a card and you lose 1 life. And the activated ability is 4 and 2 black. Each opponent with no cards in hand loses 10 life. In other words, this card cares about your opponent's discarding cards. That's kind of a scary thing. It's also something that's on the social contract, so be sure to talk with your playgroup about this beforehand. Because discarding stuff out of your opponent's hands, it will definitely draw attention to you. You will definitely be the threat, because how are you supposed to play Magic if you have no cards in hand? So yeah, Tiny Bones, again, just all the way around, definitely gotta be a Halloween themed commander, in my opinion. Next up, I was trying to stay away from some of the partner commanders, but Vile Smasher the Fierce feels very Halloween-y to me. 1, a red and a black for a 2/3 legendary creature, Goblin Berserker. Whenever you cast your first spell each turn, Vile Smasher the Fierce deals damage equal to that spell's converted mana cost to an opponent chosen at random. Now, typically Vile Smasher is partnered with Thrasios. Thrasios didn't really feel very Halloween-y to me. Vile Smasher also has the partner mechanic, of course, as most people know, which means that you can partner with another legendary creature that has the partner mechanic. If I were to go full decked out Halloween and had to have a partner paired with him, I would probably go with Temna the Weaver, because that artwork, I mean, it kind of feels creepy. She's blindfolded, she's weaving stuff blindfolded. Whenever you got somebody blindfolded doing something to you, it just feels weird. But Vile Smasher, I felt, was kind of Halloween-y, because it's kind of crazy, right? Every time they cast a spell on each turn, the first one they cast each turn, they have to roll a dice at random and ping somebody for the amount of damage that card is casting for. So if it's a 6 CMC spell, you roll to find out randomly who takes the damage to the face, and they take 6 damage. It's kind of, if you're the opponent, it feels a bit nerve-wracking, because you don't necessarily want 6 random damage just thrown at you out of nowhere, because there's no way to account for that. So it can be kind of scary for people. But because of the artwork on Temna, if I had to choose a partner to go with Vile Smasher that would be very Halloween themed, it would, in my opinion, it would be Temna. Because the others, yeah, I mean, you could go Crom, because he looks like this mad demon creature thing, but yeah, we're not going to get into that too much. Next up, Nekuzar the Mind Razor. I had a feeling that somebody would have guessed this one would be on the list. 2 generic, a blue, a black, and a red for a 2/4 legendary creature zombie wizard. At the beginning of each player's draw step, that player draws an additional card. What's scary about that? Whenever an opponent draws a card, Nekuzar the Mind Razor deals 1 damage to that player. So I'm going to let you draw extra cards, but you're going to take damage every time you're drawing cards. You've turned one of the most essential parts of Commander into something to worry about. Man, if I cast this spell and draw 4 cards, I take 4 damage as well. Now is it worth casting that spell? I don't know. But the weird part is that he's a zombie wizard. If you look at him, I feel like he's supposed to be a lich. But maybe they didn't have liches at the time that they printed this card. I feel like they did, though. Actually, I don't think lich is actually a creature type, which is kind of weird. They probably should do that. But effectively, this is a wheel deck. Every time you get a grip of cards, your opponent plays something like Wheel of Fortune. And now you have to throw those cards away and draw more, and then you take damage for each card you're drawing. But here's the problem. You don't know if you're going to keep those cards, because your opponent can make you discard and draw again. Now your plan is, there's no point in planning because you have no idea if you're going to get to keep those cards. So that can be a little crazy. Plus, if you have a deck that already draws a bunch of cards and somebody whips out Nekuzar, you might be killing yourself, turning one of the most essential parts of Commander into something to worry about. So, yeah, Nekuzar had to be on the list somewhere. Next up, Marrow Gnar. Gnar. Yeah, that's a bit much trying to pronounce that one, just the way they have it set up. So, 3 generic and 2 black for a 2/3 legendary creature rat rogue. All rats have fear. And then it has an activated ability where you tap, sacrifice a rat, and then you put X 1/1 black rat creature tokens into play, where X is the number of rats you control. So this guy, he's very similar to Krinko Mob Boss, only you have to sack a rat to activate this ability. Basically, you're swarming the field with rats. Again, you have the swarm aspect. I feel like any commander that just starts dumping out tokens as effectively as Marrow Gnar or Krinko, some of those just get a little out of hand. And that can be pretty threatening when you're facing down a swarm of goblins and rats, and then the rats have fear. I mean, come on, that's what Halloween's about. So, we're on the right track with this one. Alright, next up, Amonatu the Fate Shifter. This one, if you just look at the art, it's a creepy little girl. There is no denying that this is a Halloween-themed deck. I'm sorry, she's just this creepy little girl that just, like, she has, like, a veil on, or a fishnet or something. I don't know what that's supposed to be, but she's got, like, moss all over her, and she's definitely in a swamp. I mean, that's just... she's called the creepy little girl for a reason. This is definitely on theme with Halloween. But she is white, blue, black for a 3 loyalty legendary planeswalker. +1, draw a card, then put a card from your hand on top of your library. -1, exile another target permanent you own, then return it to the battlefield under your control. So you're blinking. -6, choose left or right. Each player gains control of all non-land permanents other than Amonatu the Fate Shifter, controlled by the next player in the chosen direction. So you're shifting the board. I'd hate to sit... If you're the person sitting to the left or right of the Amonatu player and they happen to get this going where they can ultimate Amonatu, and you're doing really good with a big swarm of tokens or something, and they shift the board and take your stuff, don't be surprised. And also, never let a Planeswalker ultimate. Shame on you if you do. You should be able to stop that. Unless your opponent's doing some really busted shenanigans with Planeswalkers, which they typically are. But yeah, Amonatu had to be on the list, of course. Halloween, she's a creepy little girl. I mean, if she came knocking at the door trick-or-treating this year, I don't know what I would do. I'd probably pass out, freak out, close the door, go hide in my closet. I don't know. Just saying. And of course, Edgar Markov. Because what's more Halloween than people dressing up like vampires? Except for the fact that Edgar Markov is a vampire. One of the OG vampires in the storyline. 3 generic, a red, white, and a black for a 4/4 legendary creature, Vampire Knight. He has Eminence. Whenever you cast another vampire spell, if Edgar Markov is in the command zone or on the battlefield, create a 1/1 black vampire creature token. He has First Strike, he has Haste, and whenever Edgar Markov attacks, put a +1/+1 counter on each vampire you control. So, again, you got a swarm effect, because every time he doesn't have to be on the field for this trigger. He can sit in the command zone. Cast a vampire, get a vampire. Cast a vampire, get a vampire. Cast a vampire, get a vampire. Oh, play Edgar, swing. Oh, now they get buffed. So you're swarming the field with vampire tokens. And that's... So Edgar can be scary from the command zone with the Eminence. There's a reason why Eminence has not come back. Because I feel like they found out the hard way that Eminence can be a little busted. The only reason why these really haven't been touched on the ban list is because they are specific to tribals. So you had the 5-color Ur-Dragon, the Edgar Markov, the Anala that cares about wizards, and then you had there was one more. Oh, Arabo, the green-white cat tribe. So each of them had these Eminence triggers, but we haven't seen that come back. I think they found because the Eminence triggers were so strong coming from the command zone as well, I feel like they're not going to bring that back. But, I mean, come on. Vampires. What's more Halloween than that? Alright. My number 1 pick, and only because I picked this card for this list, and the more I look at this card, the more I want to build this deck. Because there's just so much going on with this that I feel like this would be a great Halloween-themed deck. It is Ghoul Collar Giza. 3 generic and 2 black for a 3/4 legendary creature human wizard. Pay a black, tapper, and sacrifice another creature. You put X 2/2 black zombie creature tokens onto the battlefield, where X is the sacrificed creature's power. Think about that. You play Noxious Gearhulk and destroy a creature, you gain some life, and then you activate Ghoul Collar Giza. Noxious Gearhulk is a 5/4. Sacrifice him, and now you got 5 2/2 zombies. So you swapped out the 5/4 with Menace ETB trigger to get 10 power on the board, and you're in mono black, so you can reanimate or animate dead and bring it back and do it again. And this works even with lower powered creatures. You can play Solemn Simulacrum and play the sad robot, get a land, sack him because he's sad, get him off the field, and then draw a card, get 2 zombies, and then again you're in black. You can bring him back and do it again. I feel like just Ghoul Collar Giza is definitely a straightforward. There are some combo shenanigans that you can do with the deck, of course. Well, maybe not necessarily infinite combos, but let's face it, every color at this point has infinite combos. But I feel like a deck like this, even just built for a casual table, no infinite combos, it would just be kind of fun. I mean, you just swarm the field with zombies. And look at the artwork. She's a witch. A very creepy looking witch it might be Amonatu's mother. Because again, she has the whole weird, creepy vibe. She's running around with a shovel. She's got the veil going. Like, I wonder if she at least knows who Amonatu is in the storyline. That'd be kind of cool. They need to do more in the storylines. But, I mean, she's also, like, sacrificing people and bringing them back, making a zombie army. Like, it's almost as if it was just Liliana without the Planeswalker spark. But, alright, so that's what I had for today. This is just a fun little Halloween theme. Just coming up with some weird commander ideas that just seem more on theme with Halloween. But let me know down in the comments below, what do you guys think? Is there any that you feel definitely should have been on my list that I didn't have on there? What's some of your favorite Halloween commanders? Let me know down in the comments below, and y'all have a fun, safe weekend. Try to stay out of trouble, and I'll see you guys next video.